And we're back with the green segment. We just had Clint Fuquay on. Wanted to get started and tell some people about Green Scene Home Inspections and some reminders that we want to tell you about for this coming fall and winter. Number one, make sure we have all your gutters cleaned and clear for debris because those fall leaves will be falling in there shortly, and you don't want leaves clogging up your gutters over the winter times when you have that winter snow hit. So get that clean and clear now. Number two is have your chimney guy come out and clean your chimneys before you use them so that you don't have some funny smell in your chimney when you go to light your first fire. And then thirdly, go ahead and call your HVAC guy and have him come out and service your heater before you need it so that when you do need it, it is there and it does work. And if you think your AC unit's on the fritz, the winter time is the best time to get that because that's when they are the least expensive because they're trying to sell them. They're trying to get them out of there, right? So I want to introduce my guest today. I'm very excited about my guest today because she is a wizard of foam. So I have a lot of people that ask me about how do I green my home? How do I green? I have a home that was built in the 40s, the 30s, the 50s. I can't build it new. I don't want to tear out my sheetrock. I'll add all that insulation. And in walks Carolee into my life. We met each other a little while back, and she represents a product called Homesulate, and it's foam insulation. And we're going to get into some more details about that. But let me introduce to the show Carolee. Hello.
Hi. Hi, Clayton. Good to be here.
How are you? Can I go ahead and just go ahead and tell everybody how we can find you now, and then we'll follow it at the end and tell her where we're going to find you at.
All right. Well, our company is Homesulate of North Texas. Homesulate can be kind of hard to spell, so we've registered foammywalls.com is a quick way to go to the internet, and it'll take you directly to our website. The phone number here locally is 972-570-3626, which spells foam. So should be pretty easy to remember.
Cool. So let's kind of back up and get into why do you want to insulate your walls? All right. And so there's things out there called R factors, and I know what these things are, but maybe our audience doesn't really know why or why they're good. On past shows, I've always talked about the thermal envelope and making sure that you have that whole envelope around your house. And I used the ice chest before as an analogy of you have all the walls in the bottom of the top of the ice chest, and that's what keeps the ice cold. Well, the home is the same way, right? So if you have these older homes that don't have good insulation in the walls, they don't want to rip down their sheetrock just to put that insulation in there. So you have a kind of a wonderful, awesome cure-all that's been around the 60s, right?
Yeah, late 60s.
Wow. Tell us about that and tell us why you want to insulate your walls and what your R factors are and that kind of fun stuff.
All right. Well, this product, Homesulate injectable wall foam, has been around since the late 60s, early 70s. And I think what happened back in those times when it was actually developed with a grant from the Department of Energy, and they came up with this great product, but it was just a little bit before its time. Utility bills were low back in those days, and we didn't have the consumers had not come around to the environmentally conscious mindset that we have now. Just
energy was cheap.
That's right. Energy was cheap. Green wasn't here. Nobody knew what green was. And so it's been sitting on the shelf for years. And then fortunately here in recent years with the utility bills as they've continued to climb, company found out about the product and started marketing it. And that's how we came to find out about it. I'm actually a custom home builder, and we use spray foam insulation in the new homes that we build.
Mm-hmm. Let's clear that up, because when I first met you, I thought, oh, well, here's another spray foam person out there that's doing this thing. And I just want to make our audience very aware that there are new technologies that are spray foam, and you have open and closed cell foams. And basically what that means is you're spraying on a product that foams up and swells, and some people might have seen it at Home Depot. It's in a can and it swells up. Open and closed cell, the open cell actually breathes and lets moisture go through it, where the closed cell is very tight and it makes a water barrier. Now you have a hybrid of that, correct?
That's right.
And yours is not as toxic as the rest of them. You wear gloves and you can go back and kind of wipe it off, and it's not sticky like the other products that are out there.
That's right. And the way I like to explain it to people is that, you basically have two kinds of foam. You have injectable foam, which is a non-expanding. That's what our product is. The other is spray foam, which is expanding. Spray foam is great for new homes, but, when you're dealing with an existing home, you don't want to try to get that stuff in the wall and have it expand and crack your drywall.
Sticky everywhere.
Right. And,
Yeah.
and it has a strong odor to it.
Oh,
If you've
yeah.
ever seen those guys when they're installing it, they're wearing full hazmat suits from head to toe. And
I've
that's
got
to protect their skin.
I've got an uncle that owns an auto body shop, and somebody brought in a car where they accidentally left a can of that spray can foam in the back seat, and it blew up.
Mm-hmm.
They had to take out the entire interior because they couldn't get that stuff out of
Yeah.
the seats, the headliner, the carpet. It was just
Yeah,
everywhere.
it's very sticky, and that's why they wear those suits. It's to keep it from getting on their skin, because you get it on your skin, it does not come off.
Okay.
Our product on the other hand is very it's non-toxic, it's very mild. Our guys only have to wear rubber gloves, so I think that tells you a lot right there.
And another thing, how do you install your product? Because when I first met you, I figured that you were I'd seen it done from the inside, but you said no, we install this from the outside.
That's right. That's another thing.
And why do you do that?
Well, that's another thing that's unique about our product is we actually go around and on a brick home, there's enough space where the mortar joint comes to a T, and right there at the center of that T, we're able to drill a small 3/4 of an inch hole through the brick, and then we inject it from outside the home.
Throwing up a picture so everybody can see this is her brochure, but that's what it looks like when they're putting it in the walls.
Right, and that's just a graphic representation there. So, but it gives you the idea. We drill these small holes between the brick. Within each 16-inch stud cavity, we would probably drill usually 4 holes, starting about 18 inches off the ground. One maybe say waist high, shoulder high, and one up near the ceiling. And they start injecting from the bottom hole. They put just a plastic drinking straw in the other holes, and then as the foam rises up within that wall, the installer can hold that straw, and when the foam hits it and that straw moves, he can tell. He can
knows
tell.
that it's
Right, he
there.
can tell where he's at.
Yeah.
Yeah. He can tell where he's at. So anyway, then they move the injection nozzle to the next hole, and they just work their way up the wall like that. But the other thing that the holes do that is very important is as the foam is going in the wall, it allows the air to come out,
All right.
and so it
Gotta
keeps the wall from being under pressure.
So in spray foam, it's the big hot thing is that it seals and it insulates. And you were telling me some stories where it actually gets in every nook and cranny, including if you have drilled a hole for a picture in your wall and there's no longer a picture there.
That's
it'll
right.
still ooze through
That-
that teeny tiny little.
I saw that on one of the jobs we did recently. They had a picture on the wall. They had removed it, but they had not taken or they had not spackled the nail hole. And so when I was walking through the house, what happened was it looked like, how toothpaste will kind of ooze out through the cap. Sometimes it was kind of like that. Just a little bit of the foam oozed out through the hole. And what we told the homeowners is if you see any that gets its way through an electrical outlet or a little nail hole, just leave it alone. Don't touch it. And then 30, 45 minutes later, once it's thoroughly dry, when we come back around, we're doing our cleanup. We just go by and you literally just pick it off the wall. It leaves no mark,
No
no
residue,
stain, no
you don't have to
residue.
Worry about staining the walls
No.
or scraping it
No.
or repainting or
No.
none of that stuff. Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
It's a really neat product.
Now, in comparison to regular fiberglass Pink Panther, as Travis likes to call it, insulation, what is the difference in between the old school Pink Panther insulation and what you have?
Well, you're probably speaking of the R value. I think most of the insulations that are out there, their R values are in the 3 point something range.
And what does that mean, R value?
Well, R value is a laboratory test number that they have used. When they test different materials in the laboratory, what they're trying to do is to test the resistance of temperature to pass through that
Temperature differential.
Right. So
Mhm.
it's resistance to temperature moving through it, and so the R value on those products usually is in the mid 3s. Our product is 5.1 and that's per inch.
Per inch.
Right.
So in your basic wall cavity, your 2x4s, you're getting 2 to 3 inches of that insulation in there. So
Right.
you're looking at an R15, which is unheard of in a wall.
Right. And the other thing too it's not really measured in terms of the R value is what the foam insulation does, because when you have a wall cavity that's filled, and the easiest way I can explain it to people is most people think that that hot air or heat rises.
Yep.
And so if you can picture this wall cavity that has air inside of it, well, as that air rises, well, the air that was already at the top of the wall cavity's got to go somewhere, so it's forced down because it's cooler. So you wind up with this air inside your wall. It's called a convection loop. It's just
Yep.
going like this. And that's why when people put their hand in front of an electrical outlet and they think they feel the wind coming
Right.
through, well, not feeling the wind. They're feeling the convection loop, which is the air moving in the wall. So when we go into the wall and we fill it with foam, there's no place for the air to move.
Now, what about